Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hello Hosty podcast. Today I am joined by Joseph Cooper of Term Coops, based out of the USA, Pennsylvania. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Just south of Pittsburgh, about 30 minutes here.
Thank you for joining me today, Joseph. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite. Look forward to our conversation today.
Good. So perhaps let's start with a little bit about who you are and what service it is that you offer.
Yeah, so again, I'm Joseph Cooper. Short-Term Coops is a small property management company I've started out here. A little bit more about myself. I'm a girl dad, so had my daughter go to kindergarten for the first time yesterday. So starting that off, in a Marine Corps veteran. Been super interested in real estate for a long time. So finally found my way into Airbnbs and short-term rentals. Managing a couple properties here in Pittsburgh, but really excited. Starting a property management company with a partner in the Smoky Mountains. So in the States here, one of the busiest parks in the United States, 14 million visitors per year.
Wow.
And it's going to be a boutique small property management company. So we're only taking on 10 houses. We're focusing on the bigger cabins, 4 to 5 bedrooms with pools and things like that, views. It's a beautiful area, and we're really excited to get that ball rolling with my business partner here too.
Awesome. It sounds like you got the right direction, choosing the bigger luxury end of the market.
Yeah, we really want to focus on that guest experience, and we could go out and acquire 50, 60 properties, right? But then that really runs us thin. And what we've noticed with property management companies is sometimes when they get large, they have a hard time managing that guest experience. So we really want to focus on that side, the guest experience, keeping our operations smaller with bigger properties, but still have something that works out for us and for our owners.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. And keeping it, like you say, boutique size means that you're going to be able to give that attention to detail.
Right.
The luxury guests kind of need, you can't, it's not something you can just palm them off with scale.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So what led you to this point? I know that you said you were Marine Corps and you've just had a daughter, or you've got a daughter. So
Yeah, so I mean, I've been interested in real estate for a long time. I've read like The Rich Dad Poor Dad, all those books in my early 20s. Kind of got started back then with a long-term rental. And then I moved for work a bunch. So I was out in California, different parts of the country traveling. And I finally, last July, purchased this really cool 100-year-old Victorian home here south of Pittsburgh,
yeah.
And started launching some Airbnbs off of it. And I was pretty fortunate that I did, actually, because I got laid off earlier this year. So 6 months after launching my first property, I ended up losing my full-time job. And my plan was to grow my own portfolio and kind of retire myself in 2 years, if you will.
Yeah.
My employer decided to cut that goal short. And that's how we sort of came up with property management on the side. So
yeah,
to replace some of that income, keep things going, we're doing that too. So now I have 2 units of my own that I'm running here.
mm-hmm.
And then I have a couple of midterm rentals that I help with in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I'm onboarding another Pittsburgh property. And then my business partner has one of those big 5-bedroom cabins out in the Smokies with a pool. So we're working through that process now there too.
Yeah, lovely. It's a good transition. I mean, it's something I hear people often, they start off with one property of their own, and then they realize that they realize that the job they're doing is a service for other property owners. So it really plays well into the idea of scaling a business from this point.
Yeah, I was all in on learning and mentorship from the beginning. So I've done a management course through another big podcaster out there in the US. And then I joined a mentorship program from another group. So I've been able to learn a lot. And it's been nice because I do a little bit of consulting here in Pittsburgh for individuals too who are getting their properties up and running as well. It's great to have all that education, watching your podcast, others out there. You learn so much from everyone else, and it's something I get to carry forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. I mean, the amount of information out there that's available for free that you can kind of tap into and benefit from is huge, and it's a good idea to make best use of that. So, what's the current bottleneck in your business today?
So we're in the process of launching our management company in the Smokies. So it's all the business licensing, the paperwork, the LLC. That you just can't speed up the government sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So that had us slowed down, figuring out how to work out in Tennessee as well. My business partner's had his cabin up and running, but when we started approaching real estate agents and other vendors out in that area, we learned really quickly we need really tight books and business licensing in place
Yeah.
to make sure, of course, we want to do that so that we're legitimate too. But that's been kind of slowing us down a little bit on getting that first property up and running,
Yeah.
getting some people in the pipeline.
So your property owners, your clients, let's say, they want to see all of your licensing and your regulation and stuff in place.
Yeah, we've property owners, and then we found a couple of referral sources as well. What's neat about the Smokies is they do have these huge cabins, and they're building all the time. And these new cabins are coming out with indoor pools.
Okay.
The pools are really cool, but what we found is a lot of the property management companies in the area are not willing to work with the pools. They don't have that in place yet for their systems and processes. And
Okay.
so what's great is Ali, my partner, has a pool. He's got a team in place, so we're able to service those clients, and our team is able to expand with us too. So that's why we're focusing on those higher end, bigger cabins too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do need those licenses. That's what we found out. Before we can get referrals from some of these other companies, they require certain paperwork and documentation because they want to make sure we're legit too, right? They're putting their name on us when they refer clients. So we want to have everything in line for them.
Yeah, that makes good sense. So that would be the biggest challenge you face in business today, I take it, is the licensing.
That and just acquiring new properties, right? So I was doing this my own in Pittsburgh here, and this is where the business partnerships really come into play for me. I've been doing a lot of the organic marketing, getting in Facebook groups, sharing value. You reached out to me to be on this podcast, which was awesome. So this is where I feel comfortable doing the marketing for the business. My business partner, he's really great at doing those cold calls, reaching out. So he's kind of closing that gap and acquiring properties for us because he's getting those initial contracts out while I get the trickle inflow from my side too. So yeah, a combination of the licensing and then just acquiring that inventory and finding it because we do have pretty tight standards. We want to have some of the nicest, best cabins in the Smokies. So acquiring that deal flow is a little bit of a challenge as well.
It's the holy grail in this business, being able to get new properties on board. It's like guests, not a problem. Hosts, property owners, there's the challenge. I found that in my business, one of the best hacks that I've found to onboard property owners was there's like a whole set of like property management is such a broad, expansive thing. There's a whole group of property managers who don't even use the OTAs. They're old school systems and they still use travel agencies. And I found that collaborating with those guys, basically bringing them bookings for a commission, was an amazing way to onboard more properties without the labor, let's say without the labor of actually physically managing them. It's just a guest introduction thing. But that's something I would say to you, perhaps look into finding agencies that are not, they're old school. So like
just doing direct bookings only type places.
Direct bookings only, or also there's like an agency method. There's people who do not still use travel agencies, and there are companies set up only to deal with that model of business. I found them in Europe at least, and the owners of the companies that I've found are like, they're stuck in their ways. They're happy with their business. They don't want to know how an OTA works. They don't want to figure out booking.com, which is a relatively complex booking platform by comparison to Airbnb, etc. They don't want to figure it all out. So they're just good with their systems. But if you say to them, hey, listen, I can bring you a load of guests for the rates you want, they're interested. So, I mean, maybe that's a tip that would be useful to you.
Definitely worth investigating.
Yeah, good. So how do you manage a business that requires you or your team to be online or available at all hours of the day, all days of the week, all weeks of the year?
It definitely never stops with Airbnb, short-term rental, and hospitality. A couple things I do now in my current business in Pittsburgh is I do set business hours. So when guests book, they can see that on my profile, and then they also see that in my guidebook.
Okay.
So I'm available. I let them know from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I can guarantee a quick response in those times. And then I
Yeah.
do my best to answer anything outside of that.
Yeah.
I'm typically answering anyway, but it does give me a little bit of that break in the evenings and
Yeah.
freedom from feeling like I have to jump on those or be on the phone all the
So
time. That's been really helpful.
here's a question for you then. So what would happen? I mean, do you have, in terms of like arrival times, are your guests allowed to check in whenever they want?
Yeah, they can. And that's another thing. So the messaging plays a strong part in that too. So communicating with the guests um, about check-in instructions and finding out when they're going to arrive. So I'll send some extra instructions if it's after dark. And when it is, I do my best to be available too. So if it's like 1 in the morning or something,
Mm.
I let them know that I might not be.
Yeah.
But if it's 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, I can still be available in case like I'm just more aware of my device and notifications to that too.
Sure.
Moving into the business partnership, though, what's going to be really cool is my business partner is on the other side of the country. So we're on a 3 hour
Okay.
time difference.
Yeah.
So I can pick up the early hours of the day and then they will have the late evening hours. So we'll essentially have coverage in the Smokies
Hmm.
from the owners, myself, Ollie's wife actually runs some of the messaging too. So she's available till 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then I'm available as early as 6 or 7 a.m. this time. So that's going to really help us there while we prepare to onboard somebody for overnight. We're both have a pretty substantial business going, so we've tracked a lot of that communication. We have this really cool guest matrix
Yeah.
in Excel. So saving all the answers we're giving now so that when we do have someone overnight, they have some of those answers and questions available to them too.
Yeah, that was one of the challenges we faced in our business. I've actually, we built a tech solution using AI to respond to guests, which
Yeah.
is quite a cool product. I'm not sure if you've checked that out already on our page. We can discuss that later in a bit more detail. But a lot of people, what they do is they outsource this to like a VA or somebody online.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, I mean, we've got VAs in our company who are fantastic, really good. But I found that with this Hello Hosty tool that we've got, it basically supports them as well, so that they can sort of provide accurate responses, accurate information at the point that it's needed most. So what does your tech stack look like? What kind of tech or like software are you using to manage your properties?
Yeah, so I have my messaging and all the guest communication piece, pricing through Price Labs,
Yeah.
and working through my internet provider. I'm starting to collect email addresses. I don't have direct booking yet, but we are collecting all of that communication as well.
Yeah.
So it's the pricing, messaging, and then the booking connection to all through there.
Price Labs is great. It really changed my game. I mean, I've been a property manager for about almost 15 years. And when I first started, I was thinking there must be some technology out there that will solve these challenges, to connect all the platforms, which, now we call them a channel manager. But back then there was a couple of solutions and they were really, really, really not good. And I remember trying to onboard with, I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but I went to their head offices in Spain to go and take an onboarding session. And 10 years ago, the technology just wasn't there. It just really wasn't suitable. So for about 10 years, just under 10 years, I was completely anti any kind of channel manager or anything else. But since then, I've changed my mind. About 4 years ago, I got on board with the channel manager situation and with Price Labs. Price Labs is great. It's really good. Like to not have to think about having to change every price for every
Yeah.
for sure they earn their keep. That company, that the payment that I made for the software there, it earns its money back.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the rule sets too, being able to open up for one night stays, for gaps in the calendar. All that has been amazing.
The orphan night.
Hospitable was the other one, by the way, too. That was
Hospitable.
thing about for channel manager. Yeah. Looking at Guesty Pro potentially as we take on clients for, I've heard some of their reporting is a little bit better on that side. So investigating a different channel manager potentially, but been pretty impressed with Hospitable so far. Does a good job.
That's good to know. Yeah, Hospitable. I've not played around with those guys. I'm aware. I mean, there's quite a few in the market, and
there's a ton out there.
We've been using a smaller one. To be honest, because we built our systems before jumping into a tech, jumping in with a tech stack, we scaled up to 60 odd properties with just using free stuff like Google and Google Sheets.
Wow.
Yeah, so then we've stepped up, which was a lot of legwork for our team. But then we switched over to using software so that it would make life easier, and it has done. But then since then, as I said, we've gone beyond that, built this Hello Hosty, Alina, the AI guest assistant, like guest communications, which is really game changing for us, being able to communicate or automatically communicate with our guests just off of our guidebook and property listing information. But I'd
love to hear a little bit more about that too.
Yeah, for sure. I'll
chat later.
Yeah, I'll chat to you later about that. But it's occurred to me that the technology has really come a long way in this industry. The whole industry's grown up a lot. I mean, obviously renting properties off people has been around forever, but when I remember being 20, I'm nearly 40 now, and when I was 22, we went to Barcelona with an ex-girlfriend, and we rented a place, and we couldn't find somewhere to rent for a month, and it was really hard trying to use the internet, calling people, and it was a tough thing. And now all of a sudden, this industry just exploded, and all of the subsequent industries coming off of it, technology, etc., is caught up, and it's really quite a fascinating thing to see unfold. It really is.
Yeah, so I feel fortunate to jump in once some of that tech was established and available, because that's really helped streamline things for me. Keep my sanity.
Keep your sanity. I mean, the running around without it is crazy. I mean, I think back to, we actually had like notepads written down with rates, and they were changing. Like and another property manager I know, she's older, and she was telling me about how she used to print, you can burn or used to be able to burn CDs. She used to burn a CD with the property information and send it to people like snail mail, post it to them so that they promotional material of the properties. Yeah, like crazy. I guess like facts. So what do you spend most of your time doing as a host?
That kind of is ever evolving, right? So I was the designer, the maintenance guy, the setup guy for my first 2 units. So in the beginning, it was all the design process, building furniture, opening boxes, right? All of that. After launch, it was kind of managing that software. So I go in once a week and I check on my pricing, my calendar, make sure that's all in alignment, make tweaks where I need to, update my listings every week. My current property is on a college campus. So for instance, back to school just happened. So welcome back parents type messaging over the summer, concert messaging. We're close to some concert venues. So always tweaking and updating my listing and all how it communicates as well. On top of that, it's been a lot of what I was mentioning earlier, the social media side. So participating in Facebook groups. I actually got noticed by Facebook. So I became a community leader for Facebook in one of the local Facebook pages just this prior week. I got accepted in that program. So now I'm a Facebook page moderator for Airbnb, which is kind of fun. They messaged me because I was always just posting in there, helping out other hosts in Pittsburgh. And they reached out to me, put me through some questions, a little interview, which is fun because I'm a volunteer on free work for them, but a little interview with Airbnb, and then they sent me a bunch of training, and now I just got accepted in to be that moderator. So helping out on that Facebook page is something I get to do a bit of too. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's been a neat experience. And it gives me some connections in Airbnb. So I get access to a little bit higher level of customer support and things. So if I need something in our business, it will definitely help in that end too. And then obviously just the name recognition and stuff like that. Today, it's like we were talking about earlier, that bottlenecks. calling Pigeon Forge, Sevier County, Tennessee, getting on the phone with them, seeing where our licensing is, helping push that through, correct any issues with it. That's
Yeah.
kind of where we are today.
Yeah. Okay. Understandable. So looking back, what advice would you give yourself when you first started out, if any?
I know this. I had to think about it for a little bit, and I have a bad habit of trying to do everything myself. It's not that delegating is hard; it's that I want to figure it out and do it all myself the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of realized that when I did start partnering with Ali, because he just picked up things. We didn't even talk about necessarily what we like to do and what we don't. We just meshed in that way. And I saw right away how he's benefiting me by doing those things that I'm not a huge fan of. And even in the pricing side, I feel like I've done a ton of Price Labs training, like one-on-one with Price Labs. My mentors brought on people from Price Labs and taught us. And I'm like, I got this bachelor's degree in Price Labs. But my partner, Ollie, he's a CFO. So revenue management, finance, he is like a master. He's got a PhD in that. So we're really meshing together there. And that's what I probably should have done a long time ago, was just stop doing everything myself. Like I said, I was building furniture, putting everything together.
Yeah.
I probably could have scaled a little bit quicker if I would have hired some of those things out. But yeah, it's stop doing everything yourself. Reach out to those people around you who can help.
Some good advice there. Some good advice. It's quite often the expression that comes to mind when you say that is to work on the business and not in the business. So you're outsourcing to a good question to ask when you're performing tasks is, who can I get to do that? I got that from another entrepreneur. Another guy said you should ask yourself that question every day. Who can I get to do that?
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to outsource absolutely everything, but a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's just people who enjoy doing it more than you, and they're probably better at it because they like doing it more. It goes a long way, right? And you just save yourself a lot of headaches. I do that with everything in my life. It's whether it's trying to fix something on my car before I take it to the mechanic, or in my business, I'm tinkering around, probably wasting more time than it's worth. But.
Yeah, I agree. Often I'll pay someone to do something, to set something up, to organize something, because I know that if I do it, it's my cognitive capacity, power is dedicated to a task, taking me off of something else. I think that's the way you have to sort of structure your life as an entrepreneur, a business person.
Yeah, definitely learning that as I go.
Yeah. So do you have any hacks, tips or tricks that you can share?
Yeah, I got two things I was thinking about. I don't know if they're necessarily hacks or more just my advice, but one of the things in my Airbnb business I learned early on was if I get the same question or complaint 2 times, I fix it, right? So whatever that is. For me, one of them was my property has multiple entrances, and I needed to clean up how I communicate with guests to get into the building, which door to go to, so adding pictures and things. But that's just been a game changer. And it's helped with my reviews. It's helped with lowering my communication with guests. Because every single time, second time that question comes up or problem, issue, it's how do I fix it? That's like the immediate thing on the agenda.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is we were talking a lot about software, and I mentioned partnering up with Price Labs. What I think is really cool about all this software is these companies want you to succeed and they want you to use them. There's a ton of companies out there, like you said. They're willing to teach you and train you on that software. Talking to them, sitting down for the quick 30-minute one-on-one with some of these software companies has been a game changer in helping me set up those processes and stuff. And I would just encourage anyone out there to reach out to those companies and have them help you. Because Price Labs isn't a set it and forget it, right? The constantly tinkering, having to do stuff, as wonderful as it is, we still need to make changes, and they will teach you how to see those changes down the road and get in front of them as your bookings are coming in.
Yeah, that's some good advice there. Yeah, I think that's a very sound point to make use of the kind of customer success teams of these software companies, because they're there to help you. They're there to make you succeed, help you succeed. So
they want you to be an advocate for them, right? So they're out there to help you, but they don't know or won't until you reach out. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, Joseph, it's been wonderful talking to you. If people wanted to find out more about you and about the service you offer, how could they get in touch with you, and how could they find you?
Yeah, you can find me just about everywhere with Short Term Coops. So last name's Cooper, Coop. I'm shorttermcoops.com is our website. Joseph at shorttermcoops.com is my email. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook with Short Term Coops as well. Is it okay if I throw my phone number out there?
Go for it. Yeah, why not?
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, you give me a call, 760-213-7236. Call or text. Do you have questions about Airbnb? You got a beautiful cabin you want some help with? Anything like that? Please reach out.
Awesome. Awesome. Joseph, thank you so much. Let's draw the podcast to a close there. And again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your time.